Let's talk about immigration bans. This is a critical issue because they're often triggered by mistakes that applicants simply don't realize can have these devastating, long-term consequences. You see, contrary to what many believe, most bans are not for serious criminals. They are for ordinary people who make what seem like simple, but are in fact critical errors on their applications. This explainer will clarify the facts, based entirely on official immigration guidelines.
This explainer is for educational purposes only and does not provide legal or immigration advice. All information is accurate as of 2026. Always verify details with official government sources.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll tackle a very common misconception. Then we will clarify the official difference between a ban and something called a restriction. We'll look at the most common triggers, understand the global domino effect of a single violation, and finally, we'll outline exactly how to protect your future.
Let's start with the biggest misunderstanding when it comes to immigration bans: who they actually affect. The reality, according to official data, is that they most often impact ordinary applicants, not just individuals with criminal records.
You know, there's this widespread belief that immigration bans are something reserved only for people with serious criminal histories. But according to the official guidelines, this is simply incorrect. And frankly, it's a dangerous assumption to make. Now, to really navigate this topic correctly, it is absolutely essential to understand the precise definitions that immigration authorities use. The terms ban and restriction might sound similar, but according to the rules, they have very distinct meanings and lead to very different consequences. Let's be very clear. Based on official immigration guidelines, a ban is a formal, timed prohibition. It means you are blocked from entering or applying for a specific period. A restriction, on the other hand, is a bit more subtle. It means every single future application you submit will face extra scrutiny and a much higher chance of being rejected. And often you won't even receive a formal notice that this restriction has been placed on your file. And here is the crucial takeaway. A restriction acts as a permanent flag on your immigration file. You might be completely unaware of it, but every single immigration officer who reviews any of your future applications will see that flag, and it will significantly and negatively impact your chances of approval.
All right, so now we're going to examine the specific actions that most commonly trigger these bans and restrictions. It's important to understand that these are not minor issues. They are violations with severe and very long-lasting consequences for your ability to travel and immigrate. According to immigration enforcement rules, the most common triggers are these: overstaying a visa past its expiration date, working without legal authorization, misrepresentation, which means either providing false information or hiding important facts, submitting fake or altered documents, and finally, violating the specific conditions of a student or visitor visa. Now, we hear this kind of thinking all the time from applicants, and it's a hazardous assumption. The thought process is, well, my application was approved even though it had some incorrect information, so that must mean the authorities found it acceptable.
Let me be perfectly clear. According to official policy, that assumption is completely false. You have to remember, immigration systems are built for long-term data storage and cross-verification.
Let's walk through a practical case study to see exactly how this works. For example, say a student is applying for a study permit. To meet the financial requirements, they submit bank statements that have been digitally altered. The visa ends up getting approved. So, the student travels to the country, they successfully complete their studies, and as far as they're concerned, the matter's closed, they move on. But then, several years down the line, that same person applies for permanent residence. During the very thorough background checks for that application, the immigration system flags a discrepancy. It goes all the way back to the original student visa file. And the consequence is severe: a multi-year ban for misrepresentation. This case illustrates a fundamental principle of immigration enforcement. An initial approval does not, and I repeat, does not legitimize or erase a past violation. This brings us to a concept many applicants fail to consider: the international impact of a single violation. An immigration issue recorded in one country very rarely stays isolated in that one country. Here's how the process works. Think of it like a chain reaction. First, a violation, like misrepresentation, is recorded in country A's system. Second, because of international data sharing agreements, this information becomes accessible to other countries. Third, your credibility as an applicant is now permanently damaged on a global scale. And the result? All of your future applications to country B, C, and D now carry a significantly higher risk of refusal. So,
Given these incredibly severe consequences, we will now cover the official best practices for protecting your immigration history. Following these rules is not optional. It is essential for your long-term eligibility.
Adhering to these 5 principles is absolutely critical. 1. Never submit any document that you cannot fully verify and defend. 2. Always disclose any previous visa refusals or immigration violations. 3. You must strictly adhere to all conditions of your visa without any deviation. 4. Do not rely on so-called shortcuts or questionable advice from third-party agents. And 5. Your primary and only source of information must be the official government guidelines.
And this is really the bottom line. Securing a short-term visa approval by bending the rules is a hollow victory. It is completely worthless if the act of doing so destroys your eligibility for all future immigration opportunities. This all leads to one final question that you should reflect on. Is any short-term shortcut truly worth gambling your entire immigration future?
To summarize, the path to protecting your future is very clear. You must understand the rules set by the authorities. You must respect the conditions that are attached to every single visa, and you must never, under any circumstances, gamble with your immigration history.